Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome to DepthChatSports. My name is Chris Tebbs, or Tebbs, and in this series I'm going to be interviewing prominent figures in the world of British American football, whether that be coaches, players, or anyone who has a story to tell about this great sport. Today I'm going to be interviewing the quarterback of the Bristol Aztecs and the UWE Bullets, Ethan Gretzinger. Please enjoy the interview starting now. Ethan, how are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic, happy to be here.
So for this, I think that there's a great number of stories to tell in British American football, and I think starting with someone who's coming over here and has made an impact both at a university level and at a senior ball level is going to be, as far as I'm concerned, very interesting. So Ethan, I want to go through basically your entire football journey. So go through with me the start of your football career.
I guess it starts with my dad, right? He kind of made me a Chargers fan, and then I got to see LT do touchdown celebrations, and then I think it kind of just took off from there. And I started playing flag football locally in Manhattan Beach from Southern California, so started flag football. That was a great experience, and then it really took off when I started playing for Torrance Panthers. It's my youth league team from about ages 11 to 14. I played with Torrance Panthers and met my closest friends, and from there on I said, okay, I got to meet great people while playing football, so let's keep playing the game as long as I can.
So I mean, in terms of like the youth football setup and even going through to high school, the British audience, it's almost as though we only really get that from the media we watch and, you know, Friday Night Lights and things of that nature. So in terms of the youth football, what was that like?
It was what kind of made me the football player I am, because we had a coaching staff that was mostly police officers from my youth league team, and the grit and the accountability that was instilled into us at that young of an age is pretty insane. You have actual police officers yelling at you to, drop down, give them 20, hit your burpees, hold your plank for that whole minute. Going into Hell Week, with the parents and the players, Hell Week is hard. Like, your kid might want to quit. And, my mom tells a story where she thought I was going to quit after going to Hell Week, playing contact football the first time, and instead I come back and I fell in love with it. I loved kind of the fire, the push, and just kind of working with your friends at something that seems almost unattainable, right? To run that mile under, a certain time frame, but you're doing it with your teammates. So it made it all the more worth it, and it instilled a lot of hard work, that hard working ethic into not just me as a player, but my friend group as a whole. So even something that may seem small to you, like Hell Week, what is Hell Week? Because it's not, I'm sure that there may be things that within Hell Week that we come across in British American football, but what is it? It's just conditioning. It's running. You don't touch a football for a week, 2 weeks, and you learn a little bit more about yourself as a person, right? And they kind of just teach you, right? How far will you run, right, when the distance is unknown? I know it's a bit of a cliche thing, but it really is what Hell Week is all about. How much can you give knowing that you don't know when the workout's going to be done, right? It might not even be your first workout of the day. It might be your second workout of the day. You might have gotten to the field for the second time and still not touching a football, and it's been 2 weeks worth of just running, lifting tires, pushing over tires, running up hills, bear crawling across a field. That's what it is. It's just about everything but the schematics of football.
And I'm not sure if it was able to be picked up, my internal sigh there when you said bear crawling across the field, because that is something that I've actually had to manage to do. So moving on from youth football into high school football, again, in this country we've got a very, very glamorised image of high school football and obviously college football as well. So your time at Rolling Hills Prep, take me through that. What was the things you had to learn in order to, get to play on the high school level?
So yeah, I went to Rolling Hills Prep for 2 years, my freshman and sophomore year of high school. And funny enough, a big reason I chose Rolling Hills Prep at the time was to play baseball and basketball at Rolling Hills Prep. I loved football, and football was a main sport of mine, but I had those hoop dreams at a young age, and those were quickly put to a halt my freshman year on varsity basketball when we had a certain Division I commit dunk on me in practice. Kind of quieted those basketball dreams a bit and made me focus on football, but it was a great experience. I loved it. I was able to be a varsity captain my freshman year and sophomore year at Rolling Hills Prep, and I was able to take that team to the playoffs 2 straight years. For the first time, I think it was 10 plus years since they had gone to the playoffs, and got some hype around the team, and we had some good young guys, and we made a good couple runs, scored a lot of touchdowns. But it was also 8-man football by freshman and sophomore year, so it wasn't really a big football school. It was more of an academic setting. Yeah. So it was nice to kind of be a big fish in a smaller pond, if you know what I mean. So.
And I'm going to ask, what position did you play in baseball?
I was a pitcher catcher. So.
Okay, mile an hour.
Ooh, on a good day, I was in the mid 80s. I think I was in the mid 80s. Hopefully.
So moving on to Peninsula High School. Yeah. How was the change for you moving from Rolling Hills to there?
So I was lucky. I had friends at Peninsula. A big credit to just those guys kind of convincing me to go to Peninsula, and it was fun. I had to sit out a couple games due to some transfer rules at the time in California. And my junior year, I was able to play multiple positions, played quarterback, receiver, DB. God, that should never happen again. It never put me back at defensive back ever again. But hey, I can say as a DB, I got 2 interceptions. I got a pick 6. Shout out to my boy, Ethan Hahn. He ran down the entirety of the field to stand in front of the guy who was going to hawk me down from not having a pick 6. I'm telling you, this kid ran 60, 70 yards down the sideline. My right calf is cramping up on like the 20-yard line. I was about to score, and this kid comes zooming in front of the opposition, lets me score a touchdown, lets me have a pick 6, and I get all the glory. But the reason that happened is because my boy, was able to run down the field. But and then senior year, brilliant year. Played quarterback all year. We made it to the CIF state championship. For our division, and I unfortunately had torn my ACL, tore up my entire knee, I think a game or 2 before that, so I wasn't able to play in the game, but brilliant year, one of my favorite memories. Big shout out to that entire coaching staff and every player on that team. Some of my closest friends to this day.
So you're talking about tearing your ACL. What was the rehab for that like?
It was long and it was tedious. I was also a little bit immature, senior year of high school. Football season had kind of been over with. So I think I was enjoying being 18 and graduating high school more than I was focused on my rehab. So I think that probably prolonged my recovery. So it was tough. It was definitely tough. It was a lot going on. It was hard to kind of look at myself other than just a football player, but I think it was huge for my development as a human being, so I'm pretty happy with how it went.
So now, what do you think of some of the key elements about high school football that we as the British American football players and coaches and audience don't really get, because we can't experience that sort of those levels of football?
It's honestly it's what you feel walking into campus as a high school athlete. And you see everybody every single day, and you walk in on a Friday with your jersey on, right? So you step into your 7 a.m. statistics class, right, on a Friday, and you're wearing your team jersey. You get a couple fist bumps and a good luck from someone you've never even spoken to, and it's like, great game last week. Those little things that, maybe it's not something that's experienced out here, but those little tidbits of, walking from class to class, having a teacher say good luck, and the hype of a rivalry maybe, because we had, local schools where we had friends playing youth league together. Now you're at different high schools, so the trash talk, but it's also, it's a little bit of a tiny ego boost. You're 17, you walk into class with your jersey, everyone knows you're on varsity, and all the hoopla, so it's a fun feeling.
Then it is like the stereotypical view we have on heads of Friday Night Lights. let's be honest, is it real? You know, because it seems like a far off dream sometimes. And like, I'm sure that, you know, to some people, not just in this country, I mean around the world who are in America, they see these crowds, they see these sometimes stadiums full of people for high school football. I mean, is it like that? Let's be honest.
So, and I'll be honest too. My high school experience is obviously different than the top flight of high school football, but I do have friends who have played at those St. John Boscos, those Mater Deis, Servites, the upper echelon of high school football. I mean, for California, the national powerhouses, I mean, the top 5 national teams every single year, about 2 or 3 of them are from this one league in Southern California, which is pretty insane. But yeah, it is. You go to Texas, there's still towns in Texas that will shut down in entirety on a Friday night to go support their team. And even in Southern California, you'll get those, 10,000 plus crowds for a St. John Bosco versus Mater Dei. And, even the rivalries between Palos Verdes Peninsula and Palos Verdes High School, right? Palos Verdes High School is, historically a much better athletic program. But still, we'd get a couple thousand for our rivalry game, and we felt the intensity on game day and felt the intensity throughout the week. Unfortunately, we're never able to beat them while I was there. Yeah, I mean, it is real. It is real in a sense, but I think I had a little bit of a different experience.
Then even with like that level of crowds, because again, as much as I do love UWE Ball, like even playing in front of thousands of people is something that we don't get in this country. Like, do you think that being able to say that you've played in front of that many people has potentially, helped you in terms of preparing for the pressure of playing either in college or over here? Because it's something that, that a British quarterback probably will hopefully one day they'll be able to experience it. One day, but as it stands right now, they won't be able to.
Yeah, I mean, I think it made me kind of love the sport even more. It's kind of why I love the position in general, right? Quarterback is the type of position where, you win the game, you get some credit, even though it wasn't, you who did everything, right? It's one of those positions where it's kind of a fluke. You're gonna get a little bit of credit here, right? Even though there's 10 other guys on the field working really hard, and you had another 11 on the opposite side of the ball working really hard to get it done. But when you lose, right, you receive all that pressure. You wear all that pressure. Even if it's not externally that you wear it, I know a lot of guys who will always wear it internally, right? One throw, things that we think that we could have changed the entire game. So for me, I think it just made me love the sport even more. I loved that there were people watching. I love that my play impacted people's feelings about the game. And I think that kind of flows into, I guess, my appreciation for the game out here.
So moving on to college, Paloma Pitzer College, what was your experience like there?
I have nothing but great things to say about Pomona Pitzer. I went the academic route. I chose Pomona Pitzer towards the end of my recruiting, coming out of high school. Had a couple, FCS opportunities, but Pomona Pitzer felt like home. Big shout out to my former head coach, John Walsh, my former offensive coordinator, Brian Carroll. Great guys, so appreciative for everything they gave me. My college career was fantastic. I met brilliant people, brilliant individuals. It's one of the few college football teams in the country where you'll have one of the most competitive practices ever. And then you'll go to somebody's, dorm room, or you'll go to the library and you'll study religiously for either, a political studies paper that you have to write while your buddy is preparing to apply to Harvard Med, right? You have just some of the most brilliant minds ever banging their heads together on, on any given night, and, most of the time on Saturdays. So my college career was fantastic. Most of it was, kind of injury ridden, medical redshirt, COVID my sophomore year. And then I was able to, play behind some really talented guys. Skylar Noble, playing out in Switzerland right now for the Basel Gladiators, I think, is where he's playing. Absolute stud, ripping it up out there. So had the chance to finally play my senior year while getting my first master's at Claremont Graduate. Was able to play a couple games, ended up tearing an oblique, breaking a rib. Put me out for the, second half of the year. But again, great experience, and what made it worth it was the people. I mean, I met just fantastic people, friends, like I said, I'll be friends with for the rest of my life. And it set me up. I had enough great film to be able to come out here and play.
So let's go into it. So coming over to the UK, what was that process like?
So initially, I really just wanted to travel. I had, been really close to KJ Carter-Samuels. He was former quarterback at Colorado State. He's one of the quarterback coaches at Locked In QB with his brother, Austin Carter-Samuels. Brilliant guys, coached at the highest level, coached in the SEC, coached Drew Lock, played in the SEC, played at Vanderbilt. I'm pretty sure KJ was a 5-star recruit at Elite 11. And KJ had played at Dresden in the GFL, so instantly I was like, okay, I'm kind of interested in the idea of playing in Europe, traveling, and the University of Nottingham ends up knocking on my teammate's door at Pomona Pitzer. I end up talking to them. There's a little bit of a recruitment going on for himself and possibly me, so that door kind of opened up in that way. So I started to kind of look into, Bucks and uni ball and see where my next home could be to get another master's and keep playing ball.
So as you mentioned the University of Nottingham there, which is obviously quite interesting, as you ended up at the key rival of the Nottingham Gold, the University of the West of England, or UWE, probably going forward, Bullets. So how'd you end up at the Bullets?
I ended up on the Bullets, kind of just looked around for different clubs and different schools and fell upon the Bullets. They reached back out and basically said, hey, you can come in January. It'll be perfect timing. You'll be able to play next year as well. And I said, that sounds perfect. I get to finish up my master's. I was coaching at Torrance High School at the time. I was coaching quarterbacks. Big shout out to head coach Raymond Carter over at Torrance. They're having a great season so far. They just won their first game. And talked to Dan Marr, the legend. Talked to Frankie Pankhurst a little bit. Talked to Coach Pete Jones. Next thing you know, I was a UWE Bullet and got to play a football game. And I believe you were commentating on my first ever uni ball game.
Yeah, it was the versus Leeds Beckett, who, again, completely unrelated. We both think they're going to have a very interesting season going forward. But
respect to Leeds.
I mean, that game there, I mean, immediate impact. Obviously, Leeds Beckett, they're going through some things that year, but just you could tell that there was just flashes of great play. And then, truthfully, when it comes to UWE being, one of these teams that are just very, very exciting. Mm-hmm. Basically, every year they've been able to have this dynasty. So your first half season at the Bullets, what was that like? Obviously, sitting behind Donovan Ism all the way to the national championship where the UWE Bullets defeated the Nottingham Gold. So what was that half of the season like?
Oh, it was just incredible. An incredible experience. I mean, practicing in very cold weather for the first time in my life was definitely a change, right? I'm wearing a hoodie, a hand warmer. I got thermals underneath my football pants and my shorts. I'm like, okay, this is seriously cold. This is the first time I've had to do this, but it was insane. It was an incredible experience. I met so many talented guys who had played all over Europe, right? You had Donovan, who is now playing in Japan, played in the ELF. Current teammate now on the Aztecs, Darius St. Robinson, Buffalo Bills guy, played in Munich, played now on the Aztecs, right? You just met so many incredible people who just love the game. And I just got to come out, hang out with the guys, offer, any experience that I had to them, and, UK-based athletes, and just meet people, talked, we hung out, went to the pub, right? And we had, these great experiences that made succeeding on the field feel even better. And, all credit to Don, man. He, led us to a championship. I was able to, he was one of my closest friends on the team. We had a lot of fun together, and we celebrated, in Tenerife afterwards after winning a national championship, and it was all great. And now he's, killing it in Japan. So a great first experience, and I'm excited. I'm excited though for the opportunity to this year be the guy that leads us to a championship.
So I'm going to get back to the UWE Bullets, and we're going to move on to your time now with the Bristol Aztecs. So, recording this, we're right in the middle of playoff season, like bang right in the middle of it. There's only one game left for the Aztecs, and it is the Brit Bowl 37 against the London Warriors. But let's just go through the start of the season. What has it been like in your first season in what we call Senior Ball?
It's been so much fun. So much fun. It's been incredible to kind of travel around the UK a bit. I had never been to Cambridge. I've never been, down to where Rushmore plays. I've never been to Finsbury Park or, the cage that, you play the Warriors in was it Greenwich University?
Yes.
Yeah, so just traveling around the UK, playing teams who had just, got to this level, like Rushmore, right? It's their first year in the league this year. Pretty successful year from them. Big shout out to Rushmore. But that was a fun experience, playing at Dings, playing at home in front of the Bristol fans and meeting Bristol fans, right? Meeting these younger athletes who love the game. And even most recently, last week, being able to come play in Manchester over at Bellevue, and just incredible experience. Class act all around from Manchester, one of the best programs, I've had the opportunity to be around in the UK, but yeah, none of that's possible without Pete Jones, our head coach, runs the Aztecs, and he's made the experience just really incredible for myself, and being able to play in the CEFL, right? Playing games on a European stage. We beat Amsterdam at home in the UK. We beat, I think I don't know what championship they had won the year before, but we beat a European champion on our own home soil. So that's something I'm really proud of. I'm happy for Coach Pete, and I'm just so grateful for the entire staff. Coach Rian has absolutely revamped our offense, made us just who we always knew we were, and it's been a great year, and really excited to have a successful ending.
So within the Bristol Aztecs, there's a multitude. I had the pleasure of commentating the Aztecs team against the Manchester Titans last Saturday, as it stands right now, and within the stats, 12 different receivers have caught a touchdown for the Bristol Aztecs. I mean, an absolutely sensational number, and I mean, obviously, there's been the OC for the Aztecs obviously helping out, but what are the sort of mechanics of that, like being able to trust 12 people? I mean, because it's obviously there's I think you named some of them, there's so many key athletes on the Aztecs. So did you think that when you came over here to play Senior Ball, you'd be sort of inundated with these weapons?
No, not at all. Not at all. I mean, I've been so lucky. There's no success individually from me if it weren't for Darius St. Robinson, Noah Clack, Joshua Petrie, Harry Buckland, Chris Greener, Sean Cook, right? Bawa in the backfield, Joey Ampoma, like these guys. And I'm not forgetting, best O-line in the UK. You can say that to every camera right here. The best O-line in the UK. We're so talented. And I'm just so grateful for all the talent. It's easy. My job's easy. I'm a point guard out there. I got that from my OC at Pomona Pitzer, Brian Carroll. Just gotta go be a point guard. Put the ball in people's hands, let them go make plays. My job's easy. I gotta sit back there. I got all the time in the world most of the time, and you just gotta go make plays. So I'm very fortunate to have the weapons I have.
So only 1.5 weeks until it's Brit Bowl 37. And it will be the third meeting of the Bristol Aztecs and the London Warriors this year. Mm-hmm. First game going to the London Warriors, second game 24-24 draw. Now the third one. Could be the first time that the Bristol Aztecs ever win the Brit Bowl. Last year was their first time in the Brit Bowl altogether, which is, for me, I found it a bit of a surprise. In fact, messaging head coach Pete Jones, like, is this right? He's like, yeah, first time in the Brit Bowl. What does it mean to you that in your first season in Brit Bowl, or in Brit Bowl, you've managed to take your team to the Brit Bowl and once again put the Aztecs in a chance to make franchise history?
It really does mean a lot to me. I do take a lot of pride in being a part of this team. I really do love the Aztecs. I love Bristol. I love my staff. I love my teammates. But I really do love what it means to the Tex players who have been here for a good amount of time. Guys like Tom Levick, guys like Ryan Davies, right? Guys like Sean Cook, guys who have been here, developed the Tex culture, and again, shout out to Coach Pete, right? This is his team, and I got the honor of being able to lead it and being able to put us in a position to go compete for a Brit Bowl title, that first Brit Bowl title. So all focus is on that. I'm looking forward to it. It's all I can think about. Sleep is, starting to get a little bit harder, right? But let's just say I'm not completely losing sleep over it, right? We're comfortable, but we're also prepared.
So, I mean, me and you spoke after the draw with the London Warriors. Take me through that. What was that in terms of drawing with the London Warriors? What message do you think that sends, not just to the Aztecs players, to the Warriors players, but also sort of Brit Ball at large?
I think for us, nothing we didn't know on our end. And I think for the Warriors, I can't really speak for them. I just can imagine that they're probably a little startled, right? They're used to winning a lot of championships. They're used to just winning games pretty outright. So, right, that's a new feeling for them. That's all I can assume. But for Brit Ball as a whole, I mean, it can be a standard, right? I mean, the best can be beaten on any given day, and we want to face the best, and we want to consider ourselves the best. So you got to play the best to be the best. So that's why we're meeting in the championship, do it all over again. So I'm happy that there was a draw, right? Nobody feels like they actually got the upper hand. Yeah, they got the first one, but we saw how that worked out for Nottingham.
So that brings me back to the UWE Bullets, where you will be the quarterback for that team. The word dynasty does get thrown around, I think maybe too loosely, but when it comes to the UWE Bullets, there is no question. How do you feel as though you can, continue that standard of excellence?
Honestly, it's very similar. Just being a point guard, we're going to get a lot of good talent. We're going to get a lot of really good players. But we got to instill a solid culture, right? We are just college athletes at the end of the day, right? We're normal college athletes, we're normal guys, right? We have a bye week on a Saturday. Probably going to go try to watch some college football somewhere, maybe at somebody's house, maybe get a bowl of guacamole going around and a couple cold ones, why not? But it's just focusing on the goal, right? You got to come in week one and realize, hey, we want a championship. It's championship or bust. That's why we're here. We're here to win a Uniball championship at the biggest stage possible. We want to play the best teams in Uniball, and we hope everybody keeps loading and reloading and adding more players and bringing more attention to the sport and bringing other players to experience Uniball for what it is. And it's college athletics, and it's fun. You meet other college athletes. You go to different universities to play games. It's a fun experience. It's very similar. I know it's not the exact same, but it's very similar to how it is in the States. It's a college football atmosphere, right? Maybe a couple guys on the other team from another league or another team, and you're just going to go out, compete, go try to put up as many points as possible. Sometimes that's 100, sometimes that's 80-something, but I think that's only from a Bullets perspective.
What do you think some of the things that could be sort of added to Uniball to sort of maybe give it a more Americanized feel?
Americanized feel. I mean, I think we were talking about it a little bit earlier. Maybe a little tailgating action. I feel like that brings a lot more uni students to the games. I know, the UK is very proud of its uni drinking culture in a way. So kind of intertwining that, and bringing, university students to a game, bringing more hype around the game, making the atmosphere a little bit louder. Just attracts more people, lets the players have more fun. The students will have fun. So all good things.
So in terms of the differences, we've obviously covered some in terms of, uni ball versus college football in the experience? Obviously, I'm sure both me and you would love it if uni ball could be on the same stage as college football. We both would. But in terms of some of the mechanics of American football, like, what is the difference in the speed of the game from America to the UK?
I do think that's just a matter of how I perceive it's rhythm. I think the game is very rhythmic in how we play it. I think as the quarterback, receiver, DB, it doesn't matter what position you play, the game's very rhythmic. And it's not that just the speed it's not just full-blown slower. I think it's developmentally a different rhythm, right? So for us, right, from a young age, we're learning, right, jukes and spins and like those sort of like nuanced moves that repeatedly you're seeing NFL players do. You try to mimic them within your own game. And my example for that is a guy like AJ Carr, right, wide receiver out here from the UK, born and bred. He plays at a rhythm that would translate to the American college football game, Division I level, right? His rhythm, he has it. He has the movement, the jerk routes, all of those types of things in his arsenal. So for me, I don't think it's an actual speed thing. I just think it's developmentally. We've just been doing it for so much longer. And he's played the game longer than most kids have in the UK. So I do think that developmental rhythm really does show in that sense. And other than that, right, you give a lot of these kids that same opportunity in the States and to play it for as long as we have. Who's to say that it's not the same and maybe a little bit different? So I wouldn't say it's the biggest speed difference in the entire world. I think it's just developmentally just different.
And then also from a preparation side, obviously, like, we can see sort of within the NFL with things like Hard Knocks, but then also in documentaries about college football, like obviously with British American football, both at a senior level and at a uni ball level, time really can't be dedicated to that extent.
Yeah.
So how has your preparation either changed, or what do you see as the differences between the preparation over in the States versus over here?
I try to respect every opponent, give them their due preparation every single time. But it is different because in the U.S. for fall camp, you have a schedule. I know you've probably seen it on social media, right? You have breakfast from 6:30 a.m. to 7. You have to be at your first meeting by 7:15. That first meeting is done by 8. Offense, you have another round of meetings. Defense goes to lift. Defense, once you're done with your lift, you go into meetings. Offense, you finish up with meetings, you go into your lift. 30-minute break. Next thing you know, 11 o'clock, you have blah, blah, blah. 12 o'clock is a positional meeting. It goes on, right? But that goes on every single day for about 30 days. Maybe 1 off day, 2 off days at most. And they're not really off days. You're going to have to get a couple emails in, maybe pick classes, whatever the case may be. Here in uni ball and, within, preparation for the Brit Bowl with the Aztecs, we don't get that whole entire month, day in, day out, right? Guys have different schedules. People kind of are far maybe from Bristol to kind of a trek to get there for some of them. And I bet that's that way across, the landscape of, American football here in the UK. But more or less, it's just the actual time frame in order to prepare. It's much smaller than it is in the United States. We get those 30 days back to back to back, 4 to 5 practices a week. You don't get that here in the UK. And also, most of our meetings are done virtually, right? We're not able to have all these in-person meetings. You're not able to be up on a whiteboard, for 2 hours consistently. And at UWE, it was a little bit easier for us to do that, right? We can meet as an offense. We can meet as players only. Frankie would bring us into, in a classroom. We'd be able to draw stuff up on the board and go over things. But I think it's just the accessibility, right? The time isn't fully there yet here in the UK for full-blown preparation.
And do you feel like there's something to be said about the more freedom you have maybe in the UK? Not saying like full camp is you have to be fully locked in there, but to sort of have that not less time in terms of preparation, but more freedom. Would you say there's anything to that?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not opposed to the freedom that we get out here. I'm not opposed to it. You do have to be a little mature about it, right? Watch film in your own time. Make sure you're consistently grasping the information when a coach puts out the information in a group chat or whatever the case may be. But, I don't know. I like the freedom. I just don't think that if we had that much freedom in the United States, would the game be the same? No, I don't think so.
So do you think, what do you think are some like the smaller things that you would like to see like adopted in Brit Ball teams that, could be taken from the American game that they may not even think about in terms of from a preparation perspective?
Honestly, learning the opposite side of the ball. I think a lot of kids, or maybe speaking generally here, but as a quarterback, I have to understand the defense, right? But if I'm a DB here in the UK, my goal is to cover wide receivers, and my goal is to get to the point where you're covering elite level wide receivers, right? ELF, CFL, right? These top level guys. You need to understand what the receiver position entails, right? You need to understand what their offense entails. You need to understand why he's running a route at a certain depth, why he's cutting at a certain depth. Understanding footwork, understanding defensive coverages that match certain plays, right? If I'm a cover 3 team, and I know we've all heard of the flood concept, right? 1 vertical, 10 something out, and then you have a flat. 3 levels. Against a cover 3 team, that's what you want to run against that coverage. Knowing that as a DB, knowing that as a wide receiver, I think propose the game preparation-wise here in the UK, 100%. Just buying into both sides of the football.
When it comes to British American football, what are the things that you think could be changed for the positive? But then what are the things that you think, if any, and this is me being negative here, not so much Ethan, but what do you think, is there anything that could be taken back to the States in terms of the things that we do over here?
Ooh, I'm trying to think. Honestly, I will say the amount of my teammates who can rugby toss an American football is awesome. I've gotten better at it while I've been out here, just having fun with my friends. So I can kind of see maybe, I don't know why we don't buy into the option a little bit more out here as a country. I feel like it seems like a little bit of a bread and butter thing for this country. If you played rugby, it should be pretty easy to catch a pitch option and get going vertically. So
it's strange you say that, because then this is just, and I'm going to go on a little bit of a tangent here. I completely agree. I think that the sideways pass, the rugby pass, I've said it for years, I think it's the future of the game.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's the future of the game, and I don't understand why we don't implement it more. But yeah, so what are some things that you think the UK American football scene could learn? Just like, obviously I'm sure that there's a few, but like, what do you think like some of the really key things?
Gosh, I mean, investing in your body is a huge thing. I think in the States, we invest a lot into our recovery as athletes, as American football players, right? We stressed, going to yoga sessions. I was in high school, and you'd have, play a game on Friday. You gotta show up Saturday morning after your game. You get a lift in at 9 a.m. with your team. And then you got yoga, recovery yoga, and then you watch film from 11 to 2 o'clock in the afternoon. So your day, the day after a grueling, tough game, is still 9 to 2 the next day. And it doesn't matter if you're banged up, bruised up, broken this, broken that. 17-year-old kid, you're gonna have to wake up, catch a ride, to campus on a Saturday morning, and go do film for about 5 hours every single Saturday. And I think investing in your recovery out here and investing in the day after, right? You invest in that day after, you're going to play better the following week, right? You gave yourself another day to recover quicker, play better, be faster. And I don't know, I think that's something that could be, taken into the UK game, right? Investing in the body, investing in preparation. But I don't know. There is a certain amount of joy that I see in the UK about the game that maybe we don't get in the United States as much, right? You have a lot of guys really worried about NIL and the image and what they can produce off the field and the glitz and the glamour they can get while there and the hoopla. And here, there's people who just love the game. And that's what I love most about it. So maybe the U.S. can learn a couple of things as well about just remembering why we're all doing this, right? Just for the love of the game.
What do you see as someone who's come over here as the future of British American football?
Well, I see an upwards trajectory right now. I think we have for sure found an upwards trajectory for the game itself, and I see a lot more Americans coming over here earlier within their collegiate careers, right? With NIL getting muddled up in the next couple of years, right? They're gonna maybe have a salary cap. Who knows what goes on within the NCAA? But I think just for the opportunity, just to come play out here. So I think you'll see a transition of maybe younger players trying to play out here, and also an uptick in UK talent that makes its way to the States, because it's really, it's more a perception that that the United Kingdom is that far off from being able to compete, at the Division I level in the United States. Like, there's no reason that AJ Carr shouldn't be able to go compete collegiately somewhere in the United States. There's no reason for that. There's no reason Harry Buckland can't go compete somewhere in the United States, right? It's on the up and up. I think you're going to see a lot more talented players come out in the next couple of years, but I think you're going to see a lot more confidence from UK players, which is a huge thing, which is like half the battle. If you play DB and you're not confident, probably not very good, right? You need to think that you're the baddest dude to be on the field at any given moment, right? You're going against a receiver. So more confidence, younger players from the States here in the UK, and just overall an upwards trend for UK ball.
So one of the many accoutrements we've got on our table to sort of represent American football is this Aztecs logo, which was handmade by a fan from the Aztecs, and just in a sort of candid manner, me and Ethan were having a drink after the Warriors game. Was it after?
It was Warriors game.
After the Warriors game, and I got to see Ethan's reaction in receiving that from a young fan, and to the point where Ethan had goosebumps that someone would make this specifically for you and some other players as well, to show their appreciation. So in that moment, I knew, as someone who's covered British American football for many years now, that it wasn't just a case of, okay, here's an American who's here to play football and not have any connection with not just the team but the fans and the other players as well. So the question off the back of that is, so if we turn to some of our football accoutrements that we've got both on the table and in our bookshelf, one of the things that I want to point out is the Bristol Aztecs logo there, which was handmade by a fan of the Bristol Aztecs to give to some players. And this was after the Warriors game with the Aztecs that was the draw, and me and Ethan were just having a drink in the clubhouse, and to witness Ethan's reaction in being gifted something by a young fan of the Aztecs, and seeing the genuine goosebumps on his arm and just the appreciation that he had for receiving something that someone had made specifically for him. For me, after covering the sport for so many years, it really did feel like to me that it isn't just a case of someone's come over here just to play football and they don't have a connection with the team that they're playing for. They're just playing football. And for me, in that moment, it was, this man cares about the Bristol Aztecs. This man cares about football in this country, and this man cares about the fans, the players, and the coaches. So the question that I have out of that is, what do the Bristol Aztecs mean to you?
Yeah, thank you for one. Thank you. But yeah, it means a lot. I really do love the city of Bristol. Again, I love my coaching staff. I love my teammates, and I love the people who support this club. I mean, so much has gone into the team this year to make it, one of the premier American football destinations in all the UK. So much work has gone into it. So many people behind the scenes on game day, in the film room, recording practices, recording games, putting out notes for players. So many people have put in so much work into the team, and to receive stuff like that it means the world to me, right? And I hope I'm still able to repay the favor, get in contact with the parents of the kid who was able to make that for me, so I'm able to gift them something in return, because it means the world. And just meeting some of these younger aspiring American football players here in the UK is just, you're a positive influence, and it's just sharing that I do it for the love of the game. I'm still playing even now, as I'm gonna play as long as I can. And I think, not to harp or get too deep, but I think the reason I still play is a lot to do with, I have a friend of mine who passed away my sophomore year of high school. His name was Jesse S. He played baseball, elite baseball talent, future, MLB draft pick. This kid is a stud, great human being, just besides just the baseball stuff. And he passed away, and you'll notice every time I play a game, I have a JE10, Jesse S. 10 on my wrist, whether it's on a wristband, my wrist coach, in one form or another. And it's kind of my reminder, right? If he was still with us, he'd be trying to play his sport. He'd just keep trying to be a good person, propel the game, love the sport, and that's what I'm trying to do here. So meeting, fans who want to give those type of things to me means a lot. And I met a father and his son at Manchester. His dad was a coach and a player on 2 championship winning teams at Manchester. I got a chance to play catch with his kid for 10, 15 minutes after the game at Manchester, and we're having a catch, and this kid's talking to me about, he goes, yeah, so your sidearm here, and he's showing me his sidearm, and finishing across, it's great mechanics, and this kid's a stud. And he goes, yeah, I watch a lot of videos on Locked In QB. He goes, I know you're friends with them. And I'm like, that's just incredible, right? Just to know that people that I'm friends with are impacting this young guy over in Manchester. And maybe he's watched a video that KJ and Austin have done, with me in it, or with one of my friends in it, or their own video. It's a really cool feeling. So, I know maybe that was too long of a tangent, but it is. I'm really grateful just for everybody involved.
I think that's a great answer, and I think it does lead on to, say, the last full question here. What do you want your legacy to be? Not just in, I'd say first of all, like in general American football, but also British American football as well.
Okay. I mean, I think in general, I just want my legacy to be that I was a great teammate, first and foremost. I just want to be remembered as somebody who always just played for his boys and played for his team and gave everything that he could, physically, emotionally. I've always tried to kind of play through injuries. I think everybody has. If you're a football player, everyone does. But I think in the UK, legacy-wise, I want to be remembered as the quarterback that took the Bristol Aztecs to their first Brit Ball championship. That's what I want to do, and I want to be the guy that gets it for Coach Pete. I want to be the guy that gets it for Rian. I want to be the guy that gets it, for the veterans I talked about earlier, and also kind of show people that you can do it. There's a way to do things out here, and for all the Americans, at home, there's a fun opportunity to come out here and play and be a positive influence on the game, and not be a douchebag, right? When you go into the field, you know, be a nice guy, be a guy who asks questions, meet people after the game. And I want to be someone that doesn't matter if you're Division II, Div 1, barely see the field on any level. Why can't you give me a call? Why can't you ask for advice from me? Why can't we go have a drink and talk football? Talk about your favorite team. I want to be known as the guy who won that ring, but also the guy that everybody can hang around with at the same time. So thank you to my parents for instilling that in me at a young age.
So from here, I just wanted to ask some quick fire questions.
Okay.
Before we send this off, and we can, you can look into that camera there and say whatever you want about Brit Bowl 37. So quick fire questions. What is your victory food?
Ooh, victory food. So, in college at Pomona Pitzer, it was pizza, because they would give us Domino's after almost every single game. So by about year 3 or year 4, the pizza didn't taste as good. You receive it after a few too many times, and you're like, dear God, here comes the pepperoni of destiny. Yeah, I think it was pizza for a long time, and I think now it is, God, I'm going to sound like a douche of an Instagram influencer, but ground beef and eggs after a game, you know what I mean? Like, you have a couple of those. And
also, this is now the 4th time that Ethan has brought up ground beef and eggs today. So, favourite beer?
Favorite beer out here? Oh,
yeah.
Gosh. Oh.
I will judge him for this.
Yeah, this is it. This means...
This is a big deal.
This is the
deal. Most important question.
Yeah, holy cow. You know what I really liked? It was the Buttcombe Pilsner? Buttcombe Pilsner?
Underfall.
I think so.
Do you know what? I actually can't believe... I'm going to say that now because I know that it is called Underfall. And why that surprises me is because that's my favourite beer as well. I can't believe that that's your favourite beer. I like that a lot. Yeah, that's pretty good. Best win of your career?
Best win of my career.
And I don't mean... I know we're talking to a UWE Bullets quarterback here. I don't mean the biggest. I mean, what was the one that you left with the most catharsis?
Gosh. I think... Let's see. Okay, I got a two-parter here. So
Sure.
I have one from college and then one from high school.
Sure.
So when I was in high school at Rolling Hills Prep, we went to a playoff game my sophomore year of high school. We went up to Santa Barbara, played this school. They were much higher ranked than we were. I think they were like a 2 seed and we were a 13 seed, something like that. Comes down to the last score of the game. We're on like the 50-yard line, middle of the field, and we bring in a wide receiver who has not played all year. He was from China and ran on the track team. But dear God, this kid was lightning. And we sent this kid on a go route by himself, solo side. I hummed the ball about 50-something yards, and this kid with like 2 arms, I kid you not, balls like flying. Have you seen the Willem Dafoe meme?
Yes.
Where he's like looking up. So like this kid's like looking up, right? And catches it like this, and the ball takes him down to the ground. Catches the ball, we win the game. Upset. I think my buddy that game set a CIF receiving touchdowns record and yards record. I think he had 5 receiving touchdowns, 342 receiving yards. I think I had like 8 touchdowns that game. But we won on the last play. It was an upset, biggest upset, I guess, in Rolling Hills Prep history at the time. And yeah, that was a huge win. And then I think in college, winning my first collegiate start at home against, I think it was University of Pacific from Washington, but they came down to Pomona Pitzer to play. And it was my first collegiate start, and we ended up winning the game. My boys played well. They made me look good, and yeah. That was a really good feeling.
So, on the flip side of that, what's the worst loss you've had? What's the one that's you're left thinking, I don't know about that one. Which one do you still carry with you?
I completely forgot about that Warriors game at the start of the year, so I can't bring that one into the conversation. But I will say, so in college, we had a rivalry game against Claremont McKenna, Pomona Pitzer, Claremont McKenna, 6th Street rivalry. And, for the Claremont colleges where I went to university in the States. And it's such a rivalry. It's a consortium of 5 schools, and we play each other. 2 separate, Pomona and Pitzer for athletics. The other 3, Claremont McKenna, Harvey Mudd, and Scripps College combined for the other athletic program, Claremont Mudd Scripps. And when it's a game, at Claremont, we walk all in uniform, in kit, as a team down 6th Street. Fans are, on the side, parents watching in, and you walk down 6th Street all the way to Claremont McKenna's field, and you play a game, and it's this big hoopla. It's 6th Street rivalry. It was raining. It was pouring. My first 2 drives of the game, I threw back-to-back pick sixes. Ball slipping out of the hand. Ended up being like a closer game than it should have been, but the whole loss, it kind of all crumbled at once at the first quarter, and we made it a game. We ended up coming back a little bit, but we didn't get the win. So that one sticks with me just because I just hate the rain now.
So pre-game music, do you have any? What's your go-to song?
Tebbs. Tebbs is a big artist for me right now, and a lot of reggae. I listen to a lot of calm stuff before a game. In the morning, like a little bit of house music, right? Get the juices flowing, a little bit of rap. Right before a game, mostly just Tebbs, reggae, and I'll sprinkle in a little bit of some Divorced Dad rock. Sprinkled, but not too much. Gotta stay calm.
This is where I would ask Ethan what his pre-game meal is, but I'm gonna have a wild guess. Is it ground beef and eggs?
Most of the time, yeah. Most of the time, we're there.
Biggest game you've ever played in? It can be a repeat answer, of course.
Biggest game. I think. This is a tough one because I think I've played in some big games that Ike would consider to be big, but
I'd say what you consider to be big.
Okay.
Which is the one that you either had the butterflies in your stomach going into the game, or one that just had the most sort of gravitas around it in your own mind.
Okay, I would say I was in high school at Palos Verdes Peninsula. We are playing Redondo Union, and we had not beaten Redondo in God knows how many years. And if we had won the game, we make the playoffs. First time Peninsula will be making playoffs, and again, another 10 plus years, right? It's the first time that this school was able to do so. So winning that game in the fashion that we did, the gravity of the game, team played well, gritty win. And that was a pretty big game for Peninsula high school football. They hadn't been able to do that. I think it set us up for a nice little CIF championship run. Unfortunately, we were runners up, but I would say that was a pretty big game.
So then, questions that I probably won't be asking to the other guests, but what was your welcome to the UK experience? Not welcome to Brit Ball, that's the next one, but what was your welcome to the UK experience?
Welcome to the UK experience. I would say it is when I showed up and I walked onto campus, and I was absolutely just walking into the first time to UWE to get to the weight room. And it was, it was winter time, so not a lot of students were around. But there were still students at the student union bar on campus. So me just seeing a bar on campus and them selling alcohol on campus is a completely new concept to me, right? Just to have like an actual students only area like that doesn't work like that in the States. You keep that off campus entirely. And just seeing, it's like 1 o'clock on the afternoon. I was on my way to the gym. I had just flown in probably a day or two before. And these kids are out like middle of the day just having a good time. And I'm like, okay, UK likes to have a good time. Cool. So I guess that was a little welcome to the UK moment, right?
So then what was your welcome to Brit Ball moment?
My welcome to Brit Ball moment was the first game that you were commentating. We're playing Leeds Beckett at home, UWE. And no discredit to Leeds Beckett. Love the program. Big shout out to their offensive coordinator. But there was a point where there was a DB, and I don't think he knew who he was covering on the certain play. So I may have moved a couple linemen over to the right 3-tech. I moved the DB. I said, hey, bump out a little bit. I was kind of adjusting the defense pre-play, and then we ended up scoring on them on that same play. So it was like a little bit of I was playing the game, and I went, scoot over, bro. Scoot over a little bit this way. And he did, and he moved it, and then, we ended up still scoring on the same play. So that was kind of my okay, well, this is UK ball. I love this. And then probably I would say the other flip to that is watching Josh Breese's run in that game. I don't know if you remember that, is when he ran in circles and made 11 people miss him on one play, and then basically hurdled his way into the end zone. That was unbelievable. I think you can see it on the video. I actually fall to my knees and put my hands on my head because I'd never seen anything like that before. So I would say, those are my welcome to Brit Balls.
So in terms of questions, I'm done. I think it's been a great interview, but got to tackle one more thing. September 7th, at Barts Park in Coventry, the Aztecs take on the London Warriors.
Indeed.
How are you feeling right now?
Fantastic.
About this game? Yeah?
Fantastic. I can't wait. I actually can't wait.
I mean, what does it look like? I mean, you're going into the biggest game in British American football. Is there any, special preparations, or are you going into this as this is just another game of football?
It's just another day at the office. That's all it is. They're just wearing different color jerseys, right? Just a football game. Just got to prepare anyway. Any way you would for Rushmore, Cambridge, Hearts, Blitz, Manchester. Just got to prepare, go to practice, work hard. Maybe make it a Guinness 0-0 instead of a regular Guinness. It's that simple. Just got to go out and execute. It's going to be a really fun game, competitive team. I like playing against those guys. I like it when, they're talking a load of crap, and I can't help but just be nice to them. So I'm excited to get that going.
And just because I fear that if I ask any more questions, I'll be leading Ethan Gretzinger to say something that you may not particularly like, I'm going to call it there, ladies and gentlemen. It has been an absolute pleasure having Ethan here to talk through American football, British American football, and beyond. Hopefully we're going to do a few more of these with some more of the prominent figures around British American football. But thank you very much, Ethan, for joining me on this first episode.
Thank you so much. This is awesome. Come on now.
And ladies and gentlemen, we will see you next time. But do tune in. It is going to be the London Warriors versus the Bristol Aztecs on September 7th. I'd assume kickoff is probably going to be around 2 o'clock, as it normally is in this country.
Yeah, I think around
so,
1 or 2.
Yeah, that's all I've got to say. And thank you very much.
Awesome.